video, 5 reasons why it is actually possible to reverse kidney disease even if you are in stage 4 or 5 pre-dialysis. Catherine here. I've been working with people suffering from kidney disease for more than 10 years now. Now, imagine this for a moment. Imagine that you have a car that you love. You take good care of it, you drive it every day, and you enjoy the ride. But one day, you notice that the engine is making a strange noise. You take it to the mechanic, and he tells you that your car has a serious problem. Even worse, there is no way to fix it. He tells you that your car is doomed. How would you feel? Would you accept his verdict? Or would you look for a second opinion, a third opinion, or even a fourth opinion? Would you search for alternative solutions, or would you give up on your car? Now, what if that is not just a car, but your kidneys? Yeah, I've met countless patients who were told by their doctors that there is nothing they can do about their kidneys. They are told that there is no hope, no cure, no miracle, and that they will have to go on dialysis sooner or later. This is why I am here today, because you see, there is more and more research being published today about kidney disease than it ever was, and at a pace that I've never seen before. And what that means for us is hope. Because you see, reversing kidney disease is not just a matter of taking some pills or following some diet. It is mainly a matter of changing your mindset, your attitude, and your beliefs. It is a matter of having hope. And what gives me hope is the tremendous pace at which science is progressing to a cure for kidney disease today. Treatments for kidney disease that were considered impossible just a few years ago are now being studied. Let's see what they are. I want to start today with some news that will change a lot of people's minds on the very possibility of reversing kidney damage, of actually regenerating damaged kidneys. Imagine for a moment that with regular injections and without any invasive therapy or transplants, the kidney of someone in stage 5 of CKD could actually start improving. It could actually start regenerating itself and gain back kidney function at the point of not needing dialysis anymore. This is not science fiction. This is actually happening now. There is a new therapy that's being tested today on actual humans and that can do what it was once considered impossible: regenerate damaged kidney cells. Yes, there is a therapy that's actually being tested in order to regenerate damaged kidneys. Let's take a look. Anti-interleukin-11 therapy. Okay, let's talk about anti-IL-11 therapy because I believe this is a topic that's not receiving enough attention from the media. So please, let me know in comment section if you ever heard about this before, if you know anything about anti-IL-11 therapy already. Now guys, this is a huge discovery, and the fact that it's already being tested today in actual human is outstanding. So what is anti-IL-11 therapy and how is it going to reverse kidney disease? Past studies have linked a protein called interleukin-11 or IL-11 in short to scarring in organs. This is why a team of scientists from the Duke Medical School started their research by looking at the role this protein plays in the kidneys. What they were able to prove in a breakthrough study on mice is that administering an antibody that binds to IL-11 does not just stop kidney damage, it reverses it. The team administered an antibody that binds to IL-11 in mouse models of human kidney disease twice a week for 6 weeks. At the start of the treatment, the rodents' kidney function was reduced by about a third, and their kidneys had lost about a third of their mass. Now, this is incredible. 3 months after the beginning of the treatment, the mice had regained about 50% of their lost kidney mass and function. 50% kidney function back. Amazing! So yes, they already proved that this therapy can reverse kidney disease, at least in mice. Here's what Professor Stuart Cook, a cardiologist with the Duke NASA, says about this. The therapy could be used to treat patients with established chronic kidney disease to reverse it. And they are not just saying that. There is a trial actually going on today to test if this therapy is safe on humans. So they are already testing it on humans. And while they are only testing various dosages for safety on healthy volunteers, it's clear what the next step is: testing it on actual kidney patients. Now guys, this will be a huge step forward and I can't wait to hear more about it. I mean, there is the real possibility that in the near future, advanced kidney disease may be reversible with just a few IL-11 injections. But you see, sometimes we don't need a huge breakthrough to make a big difference. Sometimes it's the small things. In particular, we are going to take a look now at what could be considered the smallest change you can do to get the biggest possible result. This is a single vitamin that can actually slow down kidney disease by 44%. And it worked on 15,104 CKD patients in stage 3 and 4. In this study, CKD patients were able to delay dialysis by up to 10 years by adding just one vitamin to their regimen. This is a vitamin that should always be taken by anyone who is taking an ACE inhibitor, very common blood pressure medication. Let's see why. This is something you must know about because not all doctors do. Imagine losing your kidney function at a much faster rate just because your doctor forgot to give you one vitamin. I'm talking about folic acid, by the way. So make sure you are taking this vitamin in the right dose, especially if you take an ACE inhibitor, but even if you don't. Why is this important? In this study, 15,104 patients with CKD who were also taking an ACE inhibitor were enrolled for more than 4 years. They were divided into two groups. One group was taking just the ACE inhibitor to manage their blood pressure. This is the control group. The other group was also administered one single dose a day of folic acid or vitamin B9 with their blood pressure medication. Now, it's important to notice that they were given 0.8 milligrams a day of folic acid. 0.8 milligrams a day is a dose you can get from most multivitamins suited for kidney disease patients, but many foods may also help you getting there. This vitamin is present in significant amounts in foods such as okra, but also spinach, asparagus, lettuce, sweet corn, sunflower seeds, and oil. So this amount of folic acid or vitamin B9 made a huge difference, as we have seen. Here's what the authors of the study says about this. Patients with CKD benefited more from the therapy with a 56% and 44% reduction in the risk for progression of CKD in the rate of eGFR decline, respectively. Now, this is an incredible development in the treatment of kidney disease. The fact that a huge slowdown in the decline of kidney function may be achieved with just one vitamin makes it even more amazing. In short, make sure you are getting enough vitamins of the big group, especially if you are taking a blood pressure medications or if your homocysteine levels are too high. 0.8 milligrams a day of folic acid were used in 15,104 patients to slow down CKD by 44%. Now you might ask, if my doctor says that CKD cannot be reversed, why should I trust you? You see, I sometimes get a few of comments from people that really don't want to believe that what I say is true. And I get it. Today, most doctors will still tell you that there is nothing that can be done. But it's not true. This is why I made this video. This is why today I'm showing you some of the most recent breakthroughs in the world of kidney disease. There is one study in particular that proves that whoever will tell you that there is nothing that can be done is wrong. A study that proved that it is really possible to improve your GFR in stage 4 and 5 of CKD. This study analyzed the data of 406 patients with CKD, stage 4 and 5 pre-dialysis included, and it was published in the journal PLOS ONE. The researchers found that 62 patients, 15.3%, showed a sustained improvement in their GFR over time with an average increase of 1.88 milliliters per minute per year. These patients who reversed kidney disease progression had various types of CKD, and many of them were in stage 5 pre-dialysis, which means clearly that you have a chance to improve your kidney health even if you are in the advanced stages of CKD. Now, the aim of this study was not just to prove that GFR improvement is possible in CKD patients at any stage through stage 4 and 5, but also to identify what factors are associated with GFR improvement. This is why I made a full video about it. It's up here and also down in the description if you want to know more. So it almost looks like there is hope for everyone, except for those who are already in dialysis. Is that true? Up next, we will see that there are reasons why you should never lose hope, even if you are in dialysis. Lately, a lot of newspapers have published articles like this one. Yes, what seemed incredible just a few years ago is now reality. There is a man today with zero residual kidney function who is not doing any dialysis, and not thanks to a regular transplant. He actually received a kidney from a bioengineered pig. Yes, this is really happening. It's not science fiction. And today, we are in the 6th week after the successful transplantation. Yes, this is really amazing. We are living in a scientific revolution right now, and what this means for us is hope. Now, it's important to understand that this is just a preliminary trial. The receiver of the kidney is brain dead. He donated his body to science so other people could benefit from this amazing breakthrough. But it's very important to understand that his body was still functioning normally, except from a complete lack of kidney function. But when he received the pig kidney, he started to produce urine immediately. No sign of hyperacute rejection was observed. Creatinine levels were normal during the length of the study, and they are still today at the time of publishing this video. What this means is that it's only a matter of time before we will see this incredibly successful experiment replicated on actual dialysis patients in need for a kidney. Time now to see what the most important thing you can do for your kidneys. For some CKD patients, especially those in stage 3 and 4, the diet alone could make all the difference between ending up in dialysis and never even hearing about dialysis again. Now, there is one more study about kidney disease I want to see. A study that actually changed my opinion on some of the most important issues related to the renal diet. You see, in this study, 120 CKD stage 3 and 4 patients were able to reverse the decline of their GFR just by improving their diet. It took only 24 weeks and a very simple dietary intervention, mainly focused on controlling protein and phosphorus intake, to obtain an improvement in kidney function across the whole intervention group. One of the most incredible parts of this trial is that they didn't need to follow a very low protein diet. They were still eating some high protein foods such as egg whites, for example. So yeah, you can show this to your doctor if they say nothing can be done to improve kidney health. I mean, this very easy diet even helps those with CKD stage 4. By the way, this is a very important subject and I've talked more in depth about it in my video up here. How 120 people with CKD stage 3 and 4 reversed the decline of their GFR just by following a 15 minutes class. You're in for a treat today because I have an amazing study to share with you that I've never mentioned on the channel before. In this trial, 120 people with CKD were offered to participate in an intervention group to change their lives. The intervention was a 15 minutes individual class about the renal diet, followed by some lectures. The topics covered were nutrition requirements, recommended food portions, renal exchange lists, cooking issues, renal recipes, and, well, many of the things I actually talk about here on the channel. So question, is this enough to make a difference in stage 4 kidney disease? Can you really change your life in 15 minutes? Well, people in this trial had an incredible result with this strategy. After 24 weeks from the initiation of the intervention, on average, their GFR improved by 2.8 points. And well, that's an amazing result because when you are in stage 3 or 4, your GFR is supposed to decline over time, not to improve. I mean, this is what many doctors still believe today, at least. But you probably already know that I'm not on the same page. Now, what's even more interesting here is that they achieved this incredible improvement without the need for any expensive or hard-to-find supplements such as keto analogs. I mean, they didn't even use the cheap but effective supplements I usually recommended here, such as acacia fiber or a probiotic. No, they did this with just a diet that's super easy to follow. It's not even that low on protein. Interesting, isn't it? By the way, this is a randomized controlled trial that was published on the British Journal of Nutrition, a very respectable paper in 2022. So I bet you want to dig deeper now. Let's see what they did exactly to achieve the incredible result of reversing the decline of GFR in people in stage 3 and 4 of CKD. Just a quick disclaimer before we start. Please don't change your diet without consulting your nephrologist. So very first point here is protein intake. Now guys, if you follow me here regularly, you know that I'm an advocate for the low protein diet in people with kidney issue. And what I usually recommend is a very low protein diet in people without diabetes and supplementation with keto analogs. But this comes with some limitation. It's a tough diet to follow, especially because you are supposed to follow it for an indefinite amount of time. And keto analogs are not cheap and you must take them with a very low protein diet. But hey, it works better than anything else if your priority is to keep or improve your kidney function for as long as possible. Now, if you don't like the idea of eating almost no protein at all, there is good news coming from this study. Because while they limited protein intake in the intervention group, they did not follow a very low protein diet. So they didn't need keto analogs and they didn't need to completely stop eating anything containing protein. As we can see here, protein was limited to 0.75 grams per kilograms of body weight, not to 0.55 to 0.6 grams like the current guideline recommends. What this means is that those in the intervention group were able to improve their kidney function while still eating some high-protein foods. Let's take a look. Now, this is very interesting. With the aim of limiting phosphorus intake without reducing protein intake too much, the test subjects were instructed to replace meat with egg white. So no meat, alright, and this is not news, but frankly, it's not very usual to see egg whites recommended. The reasoning here is that they have very low phosphorus, and this is important. So only meat and other high phosphorus foods such as fish, poultry, and foods containing phosphate additives were completely forbidden here. Other foods containing phosphorus such as nuts, legumes, and dairy were limited but not completely avoided. What the researchers wanted to achieve was a diet that was easy to follow but effective. And while this study was done on non-diabetics, even those with diabetes can follow this protein restriction. And well, it worked! Now you may ask, what does this diet look like in practice? What did they actually eat? So there is this table here that tells us really a lot about what they are eating on a daily basis. It's all in serving size, so it's also very easy to interpret. What we can see here is that those who improved their kidney function had every day 4 servings of vegetables and 4 servings of fruits. The serving size for fruits and vegetables is about 4 to 6 ounces. So yeah, They are eating a lot of fruit and veggies here. And also of cereals. We're talking 8 to 9 servings per day here. One serving of cereal is 30 to 45 grams or about 1 to 1.5 ounces. So as we can see here, those in the intervention group were told to eat mostly carbs. These must come from whole grain especially and from fruit and vegetables. Sugar was restricted. Fat intake from saturated and trans fats was also restricted in favor of unsaturated fats. Nothing groundbreaking, right? And this is what makes it special. It worked without making people follow a diet that was too strict. Another important thing to notice here, the caloric intake. In this study, those who improved their kidney function followed a normal caloric diet, which means that they didn't lose nor gain body weight during the 24 weeks of the trial. And this is important because changes in body weight may influence kidney function. So restrict protein, restrict especially high phosphorus foods, and keep calories normal. This is what worked for them. A very interesting result of this diet is the reduction in blood pressure. As the authors pointed out, a significant reduction in blood pressure was achieved mainly, but not just, thanks to a reduction in sodium intake. Here, sodium was restricted to less than 2,000 milligrams per day, which is a very low amount of sodium, but not really different from what's usually recommended. But the authors believe that there is more to the results in terms of improved blood pressure they got than just sodium. Because you see, they believe that reducing protein intake can also help with blood pressure because it helps the kidneys work better. And then there is potassium and fiber. Now this is interesting. In this study, those in the intervention group were told to increase their consumption of fruits and vegetables, which is also great for blood pressure other than kidney health in general because eating more fruit and veggies inevitably means an increased potassium intake. What is interesting is that none of those who increased their dietary potassium intake suffered from hyperkalemia or too high potassium levels. Those following this better diet had, on the other hand, an improvement in blood pressure. Researchers believe that this was due to the increased potassium intake combined with the reduced protein intake and the reduced sodium intake. And well, that's amazing because they can now reduce their need for hypertension medications. Great to protect the kidneys because you see, many medications can have negative effects on kidney health. Yes, many prescriptions are dangerous, but this is not the topic of today's video. But I've talked about this in my last video, up here and also down in the description if you missed it. Now guys, back to the table for a moment. What I want you to notice is that when reducing protein intake and fat intake, there is just one energy source that's left. Carbohydrates. Most of the calories consumed every day in people who improved their renal function was coming from carbohydrates here. And while this study was not conducted on people with diabetes, we know today that anyone with kidney disease, including those with diabetes, must limit their protein intake. That is, if they plan to keep or improve their kidney function. Because, yeah, you can eat hamburgers and fries every day if you don't mind ending up in dialysis. And now you may ask, what about people with diabetes? Can this diet work for them too? Well, as I was saying, this study was not conducted on those with diabetes. If I were planning a diet for someone with diabetes, I would personally restrict carbs, especially sugar, more than what they did here, probably adding more healthy fats. But you see, many of their findings of this study can be applied to people with diabetes too, even the part about carbohydrates. Yes, you need carbs if you have diabetes and kidney disease. So if you want to learn more about what carbs are safe and healthy for diabetes, this video up here is for you. And guys, I believe that what makes this trial exceptional is the fact that this diet is so simple, so easy to follow, and they didn't use any supplement other than vitamin D, which means, in my opinion, that they could have obtained even better results if they also added those supplements that are proven to help. A good renal multivitamin, acacia fiber, a good probiotic, So if you want to study this paper in depth, there is a link down in the description for the full paper. You can even save it on your phone and show it to your nephrologist if you want to follow a diet similar to this. And if you want to learn more about the renal diet, this video up here is for you. In this video, why adding foods containing a very special type of fiber may be key to lower your creatinine levels fast. I feel like lately I've only been talking about the renal diet here, and there is a reason for that. More and more studies are being published every year confirming that following the right diet is the #1 best thing you can do for your kidneys. And one of the interventions that always seems to give results is replacing foods rich in protein with foods rich in dietary fiber. This really seems to be key to slow down kidney disease. And dietary fiber can make a huge difference, says science, because it binds to and help you get rid of renal toxins in the gut before they enter the bloodstream. We can almost say that dietary fiber tells the gut to do the kidney's job to get rid of uremic toxins. Doing this efficiently enough will directly decrease the load on the kidneys, protecting them. It has also been observed capable of delaying end-stage renal failure by years, sometimes decades. What not many people know is that there is a special type of dietary fiber that can be used to achieve this goal even in the advanced stages. Yes, fiber is the closest thing we have to a true super nutrient. It's maybe the healthiest part of many different foods. This is why fiber can help so much in lowering creatinine levels. And today I want to show you what foods and supplements you can use to lower your creatinine levels. Let's start with a very underrated source of dietary fiber that you may want to add to your diet right now. Ancient grains. What are ancient grains and why are they so good for the kidneys? Ancient grains are a group of grains that have remained mostly unchanged for thousands of years. Studies have linked ancient grain consumption to health benefits such as lower kidney disease risk, better blood sugar levels, and improved gut health. These benefits are possible because ancient grains are less processed than more widespread grains like wheat and rice. They pack way more vitamins, minerals, and fiber. There are 13 ancient grains, and even if they all are very healthy, not all of them are suitable for a renal diet. So question, which ancient grains should you consider adding to your eating plan? Well, you should consider millet. Millet is a gluten-free grain popular in South America as well as India and many Asian countries. Today it's becoming more popular in Western countries too, and it can be found in a variety of colors: white, gray, yellow, and red. Millet is a great choice for people with kidney disease and especially for those with diabetes. Recent study found out that this ancient grain actually has anti-diabetic properties, mainly thanks to the polyphenols and fiber it packs. So yes, eating this ancient grain in moderation is not just safe for diabetics, it's beneficial. Because millet is also high in antioxidants, iron, B vitamins, and magnesium, while being lower in phosphorus, protein, and potassium compared to most of the other ancient grains. If you want to try it, look for millet with the other whole grains in the bulk bins, the baking aisle, or possibly with the cereals at natural food stores. The easiest way to eat millet is by toasting 2 cups of grains in a very lightly oiled pan. Once the grains turn golden brown, lower the heat and add in 3 cups of vegetable stock and some fresh parsley or coriander and let it simmer for 20 minutes till the liquid is soaked up. More ancient grains and other great sources of fiber to come. Before that, a very important question. Can eating more fiber really make a difference with kidney disease? Yes, according to several studies, higher dietary fiber intake is associated with both decreased inflammation and a slower progression of chronic kidney disease, even in people in the advanced stages. In particular, a recent study directly compared the GFR of two groups of CAD patients. One group was eating more than 25 grams per day and the other group was eating less than that. And guys, this is frankly huge. The researchers were able to prove a link between higher fiber intake and slower CKD progression, as we have seen here. But it's not just that. These kidney disease sufferers were also able to benefit from improvements in cholesterol levels, in inflammation markers, and even in proteinuria. So if you ask me if dietary fiber can make a difference, my answer is clear. Science says it can. And in particular, there is a special type of fiber that can be used to get a huge fast drop in creatinine levels. More about this in the next part of the video. Now, another ancient grain with huge benefits, also low in protein and phosphorus, is sorghum. Not very commonly consumed in the United States, unfortunately. Sorghum has huge benefits for you. Being an ancient grain, it's a wonderful source of antioxidants and fiber you can eat instead of plain rice. It contains powerful polyphenol plant compounds including anthocyanins and phenolic acids, which protects your kidneys from oxidative stress. Sorghum is naturally gluten-free and it has never been genetically modified as a crop, which means avoiding harmful pesticide residues. Just like millet, the reason why I've chosen this ancient grain over the other options is its low protein, potassium and phosphorus content. These ancient grains are, however, slightly higher in potassium and phosphorus than white rice, so keep that in mind if you choose to add them to your eating plan. Obviously, these ancient grains are way richer in fiber and lower on the glycemic scale than white rice, making them an ideal carb source for people with diabetes or CKD in general. And sorghum is a very versatile grain, very easy to cook. It is best eaten in its whole grain form to get the most nutrition. It can be prepared similar to rice. Try soaking whole sorghum for 8 hours or overnight. Then, boil it in 3 times as much water for about an hour or until tender. You can find this ancient grain at some grocery stores alongside the grains and rice products. Sorghum is actually grown in the United States. It is a major crop in Kansas, Texas, Colorado, Oklahoma, Nebraska, and South Dakota. Other ancient grain that I always recommend is barley. Barley is really amazing. It is low in GI and phosphorus and it also boasts anti-inflammatory properties. Barley contains betaine, a nutrient that may help reduce inflammation. Barley is also rich in magnesium, great to lower pressure, and in iron to fight anemia. This ancient grain is also easy to find and inexpensive. It's also very easy to prepare. Throw some barley into a large pot of water and simmer until tender, about 15 to 20 minutes for pearl barley. Drain and serve with some olive oil and roasted veggies. And by the way guys, I know that some of you will be asking me why I'm recommending high carb foods to people with diabetes. And the reason is simple, because you need to avoid protein if you have kidney disease in any stage. This means that you will need more carbs. You cannot eat only fats in your life. It doesn't work. It's not safe. On the other hand, eating more foods that are rich in fiber and low on the glycemic index is going to be your best strategy at controlling both diabetes and kidney disease. And guys, the foods I talk about in my videos usually come with one or more special property that can help you. And barley is very rich in fiber, like all the foods of today's video. But it is also particularly rich in one special type of fiber called soluble fiber, which is the healthiest fiber you can find. Question: what's so special about soluble fiber? In general, fiber is a carbohydrate that your body can't digest, so it has no calories, but it will still make you feel full. Of the two types of fiber, soluble and insoluble, soluble is even more useful. Soluble fiber dissolves in water, so when it reaches your GI tract, it forms into a gel. This slows down digestion, helping you avoid a sugar spike, but it also promotes gastrointestinal health. Even more important, soluble fiber can bind to several toxins in the gut, especially uremic toxins. So the more fiber you get every day, the better. Getting enough soluble fiber every day is also linked to reduced risk of diabetes, heart disease, obesity, and gastrointestinal cancers. It lowers cholesterol and promotes mental health. But you can't just eat grains to get fiber. You also want veggies. So question: what veggies are the best source of soluble fiber? Well, some of the veggies you absolutely want to consider for your eating plan include Brussels sprouts. While many vegetables are good sources of soluble fiber, Brussels sprouts are definitely topping the list with 3.8 grams of fiber per 100 grams, half of which is super healthy soluble fiber. And while Brussels sprouts were once banned for the renal diet, today we know that they have a ton of benefits for your kidneys. They can help lower blood pressure, cholesterol, and blood sugar levels, very important for managing kidney disease. There are studies even linking an increased consumption of cruciferous veggies such as Brussels sprouts to a significantly decreased risk of type 2 diabetes. Another veggie that would help you get more soluble fiber during the day: carrots. Many people still believe that carrots are mostly there to help you see better. But while that is just a myth, there are many benefits of carrots that are actually supported by science. First of all, they are a great source of soluble fiber, especially if we compare grams of soluble fiber to grams of protein we get from carrots. Now, the soluble fiber in carrots is mainly pectin. Pectin is not just great to help gut health, it also binds to cholesterol in the intestine. So if you want to lower your cholesterol and triglycerides levels, also add carrot to your diet, says science. Another great source of soluble fiber: broccoli. Broccoli is definitely one of the healthiest foods on earth, a true powerhouse of nutrients. It's reputed to benefit digestion, the cardiovascular system, and the immune system. Research also tells us that eating broccoli fights the inflammation in the body. This little veggie also has detoxing properties, very useful to lower your creatinine levels thanks to unique phytochemicals. These plant compounds aid all steps of the body's detoxification process, from activation to neutralization and elimination of contaminants. Not to mention the very high fiber content of broccoli, especially when compared to the small amount of calories this veggie has. And yes, many of these foods are rich in potassium, but potassium should not be considered a boogeyman for people with kidney disease it once was. There are still people that need to limit it, but this is not true for everyone anymore. And guys, when it comes to increasing your intake of soluble fiber, you can also consider supplements. You see, grains and veggies are extremely healthy for you, don't get me wrong, but they also contain some protein, some carbs, potassium and phosphorus. And getting the right amount of fiber every day, which is a pretty high bar, 38 grams for men and 25 grams for women, is not easy. Not many people manage to eat all the fiber they need every day. So time to cut this fiber gap and start lowering our creatinine levels. There is a supplement that I use every day and that I always recommend, especially because, as I was saying, soluble fiber can bind and help excreting renal toxins in the gut before they enter the bloodstream. And this is a supplement of pure soluble fiber that has been studied for its property of directly binding to and removing uremic toxins. I'm talking about acacia fiber. I really recommend you try adding this one to your eating plan if you already haven't. The reason is because acacia fiber alone can make a serious difference in all the stages of CKD despite the cause of the issue. This 100% natural substance directly binds to creatinine and other uremic toxins in the intestine, preventing them from reaching the precious filters of the body. Acacia fiber is so effective in removing creatinine, it was used in test subjects with stage 5 CKD who wanted to avoid being tied to a machine. Instead, they were given acacia fiber. It worked so well. Some of them were able to avoid the Big D machine for years. After that, more research showed that this natural substance can help in all the stages of CKD. Acacia fiber is a powerful anti-inflammatory and an antioxidant that scavenges free radicals in the body. So consider adding it to your regimen if you aren't using it already. And more info about it in description, by the way. And this is all for today. Thank you for watching. God bless you all.